Ladies and gentlemen, and honored dignitaries, we want to welcome you to this brief discussion today on the future of success for all our students, faculty, and staff members within the context of a learning institute. My name is Dr. Marcel Hattingh, and I currently have the privilege to serve in the capacity as the CEO of CCI Professional. Today, also my guest here is Mr. Pieter de Villiers, who is the lead architect and researcher within the context of the Shadowmatch system. And Pieter, I want to welcome you and thank you for your time today, also serving within this recording.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our discussion today will be focusing on an environment that is rapidly changing, not only because of the global pandemic, but different components such as the fourth industrial revolution, and also just the global population that's continuously growing. And how do we best serve our student population in order to secure success for all of them within the different spaces of their work? Today, we would like to focus on three components, which Mr. de Villiers will also unpack for us in a little bit more detail of how we can potentially engage these questions. Number one, we want to talk about student attrition rate, or the throughput rate of our student academic success. We need to talk about job readiness or workplace readiness and how do we best prepare them for that. And then, very critical at a season such as this, the student mental well-being and how our students engage the challenges that's constantly being thrown at them. So, Pieter, I would like to present this first question to you: the challenges with universities and colleges, learning institutes, to ensure that a student actually pass their academic curriculum in the right amount of time and also with the right quality. How do we think about this going into the world of tomorrow?
Marcel, the problem with the success and the failure of students is very simple to understand, but it's a complicated problem to understand if you look at it from the complexities that sits behind failure. What we have found in our research and with the Shadowmatch system is that at the starting point of student failure and success is, what do I study? If I start at university with the wrong career or the wrong mindset of a career, or I've started a career in finance or in medicine or in engineering, and that is not for me. That student has a very low success rate, and the propensity for the student to be successful at university, if the starting point is not optimal, is very low, and they tend to drop out. So the first thing that we must do is we must ensure that the student selects the right direction or the right career choice and the degree that is most suitable to their habits and their behavioral patterns. And then the selection of subjects, if the degree allows for different subjects to build up the curriculum for the degree, those subject selection must be optimal for the student. If they fail with that point, they are compromised in their success, and they experience extreme difficulties to get through the work and to get through the learning content. The second thing that must be that is a challenge at university level is students, the gap between high school and leaving high school or college and getting into university in terms of the learning volume and the scope of work is such that it is very difficult for students to bridge that gap and to work with a high volume of scope of work that they have to cover during their university studies. And if they don't have a study method that works for them optimally, they experience extreme difficulties to be successful with the scope of work, the content, the complexities, and the challenges, just the methods that we apply as students to learn optimally. And some of our students have never been through a proper learning of an optimal study method. So they just try what they've been using since they were kids at grade 1 or primary school. Another thing is that we have found that there's not one single optimal learning method or study method that works for everybody. Everybody has unique study methods that work for them. So that's the second challenge on during this throughput or this attrition rate of students. The third thing is when in counseling, they experience that students become stressed because they rely relationships become challenged.
Yeah.
They have relationship problems with friends, with family, with teachers, lecturers, tutors, with fellow students, and those relationships become so complicated and so stressful that a lot of the students' energy is being invested in trying to manage their relationship instead of working on their academic content. The fourth problem that students experience as a high level challenge is their financials. But obviously, that's a different topic on a different level. But these are the three top things. What do I study? How do I study? And how do I manage my personal well-being in terms of my relationship as a young person? And if any of these three are being compromised, the success of the student is compromised, then they have a dropout and they can't complete their studies. And obviously, then the after effect of that is we have somebody who has a high content of failure, and they tend to become seriously challenged to restart a career and to be successful after such a failure. And this is what Shadowmatch addresses in the student community.
So Pieter, what I understand is there is an onboarding process, getting the right student into the right qualification or program. Then there's the duration of the studies to make sure the student keep on being successful in the attrition rate. But then, and this leads to the second question, obviously now the student has a qualification. Let's say, for instance, they studied medicine and they are about to leave the qualification or leave the institute, and they need to be prepared in order to engage the world of work. Talk to us a little bit about the changes that we're seeing because of industrialization, the fourth industrial revolution, or the challenges that people have to decide which environments do I enter into and how do I prepare myself short, medium, long term for the right career path also.
This is a very tough question and a very challenging scenario to deal with, Marcel, because what we need to do is we need to understand that a career is a progressive unfolding process. It's not a linear thing. I can study medicine and then become the head of a hospital or the CEO of a medical fund or a medical institution or a research institution. Or I can study medicine and become a general practitioner in a small little town where I work with a community. So what we need to understand is that we've got to prepare the student for their academic careers, or the first building block of their career is, what do I study and what degree do I need for my future? As you rightly said, we are in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution where things really change at a very high pace. We experience robots coming into our world. Manufacturing plants are automated. We see how intelligent systems start to take over the work that's been done previously by individuals. And what we must do is we must prepare the student for this fourth industrial revolution. Now, what we have done in Shadowmatch is we have researched the workplace in the fourth industrial revolution. And our career report indicates for the student where in the fourth industrial revolution will be the optimal place for them to land their first working career starting point. In other words, when we get into the job and earning a salary and becoming an employee or an entrepreneur, where should it be in the fourth industrial revolution frame of business and the workplace? So that the student has a building block of, this is what I'm going to study, and this is where I will best fit in the fourth industrial revolution. The thing that we must understand, Marcel, is that as we train our students and they are part of a learning institution, they must become aware of the changes in the working environment. Yeah. If they step out of the learning institution, there's another gap. Then they must fill the gap between being a student at an academic institution and being an employee in a business, in a corporate business, a big business, enterprise, where they have to play another role. Mm. And that role is different to the role of a student. Now, what we do with the Shadowmatch system is we try to help them to bridge that gap by providing them the development programs. Once they land in the workplace, we have a full package of coaching and learning so that they can align their habits and their behavioral patterns with the environment where they experience their work to be in, to be optimal for their own success. Because these gaps that we have between high school, university and work, it's in those gaps that we experience, people find it very difficult to get to the other side of this gap without stress, without sometimes serious challenges, and not knowing exactly what to expect and what to do. And with the Shadowmatch system, we have this whole dream, and we are there of building a chain of events for the student and the learner to build the building blocks that are successful, so that we don't have somebody that runs into failure and they cannot progress with either the academic side of the thing or the work side of things. Because if a learning institution doesn't deliver students to the market and to the business sector that is ready for the business, what business will then do is to reject and to say, but we can't employ these people because they're not ready. So the work readiness component is extremely important, and we've built it into part of the system.
Pieter, you are touching continuously on the fact of student stress, student well-being, even to the point of perhaps trauma. Obviously, with the changes going on in the world, the whole world is under a severe amount of stress and strain that's not normal. How can the Shadowmatch system also support the student mental well-being, which is our third component here that we want to quickly address?
Marcel, what we do is we have a saying, and that is that Shadowmatch builds system that builds success for all. We want to build systems. We are an industry for business, and we build industry for ready systems. So what we want to do is we want to build system to secure the success of people. And what we have found is that there are critical areas where people experience challenges that could lead to their mental well-being to be compromised. Yeah. And I won't go into too much of the detail, but one of these things are, for instance, a serious failure in the life of an individual compromises their sense of value and success, and the progressiveness in their lives are being compromised, so they get stuck. So we must try to prevent failure, and students failing at university could be a major failure that could compromise their mental wellness and their well-being, their psychological well-being. The second thing is they struggle with their relationships. On a stats level, we experience that about 70% of students knocking onto the doors of helping people, psychologists, sociologists, and coaches, about 70% knock on the doors because their relationships are compromised. So that is the second thing. The third thing is they don't know what to do with their lives. They don't have a career path and a career plan that works for them and that talks to them in a way that energizes them and brings a high level of energy for their careers to the working table and the academic world. And then the fourth thing is they don't know how to study. They can't prepare themselves for an exam. And what then happens is they become so stressed because of the fact that they fear this failure of the exam, that their energy is being absorbed by their fear, and they can't complete their exam successfully. And these are the areas where Shadowmatch provides a fully automated system that provides the student with the information that helps him to manage his life, to have a career path, to have relationships that work, and if they don't work, to have a plan with it and everything that goes with us. So these are the components. We continuously research what are the stress points for individuals and for students, so that we could build the system and develop the system to accommodate those stress points into a solution that secures success for the student and for the individual. And this is what we do all the time.
Sure. Incredible. So ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of the reason why I believe you attended the session also today, is to find out what are some of the latest technologies, what are some of the latest automated and artificial intelligence processes that can support your learning environment in not only the three areas that Pieter also addressed today about the student attrition rate, about the career development and guidance concerning that, student mental well-being, but a number of additional applications also. We would love to engage with you and do a systems demonstration, show you how the worksheet works, show you the different reports, the automations, the audiovisual support that is in the system. And I would like to invite you to connect with us, first and foremost via the website, shadowmatch.com. You're welcome to Google it or just type it in, shadowmatch.com, and also follow us within the context of the program of the conference, and also connect with us in order to do a free systems demonstration and also allow you to experience the power of what the future within this Shadowmatch system might hold for your learning institute. I am Marcel Hattingh, Pieter de Villiers, and we want to thank you for your time. Thank you, Pieter, also just for sharing with us your broad base of experience and also what you are busy leading in the development of this futuristic system.
Thanks, Marcel, and thank you everybody for attending and listening to this discussion. We hope to be in your service soon. Thanks, Marcel, and have a nice day.